This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 11 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Radio X, and that's just part of the list. And if you'd like to find out more about our programming, who's going to be on, who's doing what, or who's doing who, or whatever's happening, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And for our network, to find out the other shows that we have available for you, 724, 365, as well as their broadcast schedule, xzbn.net. Marshall Masters is our guest again this week. Marshall was good enough to come back after our discussion last week. We still had so much to talk to Marshall about that we brought him back tonight. He is a former CNN Science Features news producer, freelance writer, television analyst, and the publisher of YOWUSA.com. Since 1999, he has been researching Earth changes and Nibiru flyby-related topics, including sustainable survival communities, catastrophic crop circles, impact events, and future technologies. Like many others, Marshall also sees a dark cloud coming. What makes him different is that he also sees a silver lining, a noble and inspiring Star Trek future. Joining me now is Marshall Masters. And Marshall, first of all, thanks very much for coming back.
My pleasure, Rob.
Oh, I there was a bit of gap, and I said, oh no, we lost him. They've got to him. He's been abducted. But no, there you are. Last week when you were with us, we talked about Nibiru, we talked about technology, and we also talked about the church you founded.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we pick up?
Well, let's pick up at a beginning for a lot of people because they're new to the topic.
Mm-hmm.
This is an old topic. It has been around for a long, long time, and there was a time when mainstream media reported it very aggressively. I can remember that time because I'm old enough. I was in high school. And Nemesis theory, that was the big ticket. You know, the question, do we live in a binary star system? And so that's what we do. And for a lot of folks out there, first off, there's so much, when you start searching on Planet X or you start searching on Nibiru, you used to be able to find a lot of links to me in the search engines. Mm-hmm. But I did something in one of my recent videos that, well, frankly, must have really annoyed the PTB something seriously, because now if you type Planet X or Nibiru, you may not see me, or you may see me like 6 or 7 search pages down. And same thing for YouTube. So I've really been expunged, and it was this one video that I did, Planet X System Update number 4, part 3 of 3, Luciferian Agenda. And that is where I literally spell out in, very clear terms what is going on, how we're being set up to fail. And I lay out the plan. And it's, it's eugenics. I mean,
eugenics.
Think back to pre-war Nazi Germany and Neville Chamberlain going, "Peace in our time." And back then, Germany was the leading country in the world when it came to culture and science. And so it was unimaginable that the German people could get, put into a situation where now they're remembered for the Holocaust and the methodical slaughter of 6 million Jews, but also there were a lot of other people that they slaughtered as well. And, this was just barbaric, and nobody could have really imagined it happening because they couldn't imagine the unimaginable.
But it did happen, and you and I are going to be talking more about it when we come back on the other side of this break. Exonation Marshall Masters is our special guest. www.yowusa.com is his website. And we'll both be back. As we come back from the great somewhere out there, we'll try and find out what happened to Marshall Masters on Planet X searches as well as YouTube, and what was so annoying to someone or some group about one of the videos that he posted. He's a nice guy. This I've got to hear. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Marshall Masters is our special guest. www.yowusa.com is his website. All right, I'm very curious about how you got yourself basically erased from Google and YouTube. Isn't that unheard of?
No, it's not unheard of. This kind of thing happens to a lot of people. And in Planet X research, I have an old saying: the closer something gets to the truth, the faster it disappears. And so what you're going to see more often than not is you will see a lot of fresh voices out there. And I want to add, I am really, really excited about the work I'm seeing from some of these dedicated people out there. And they're really putting their all into it. But on the other hand, there's the carpetbaggers and the disinformation operatives as well. And all of that makes it really difficult for people to get a clear beat on things. And if you can't have a good beat on things, you're paralyzed. You don't know what to do. You keep going back and looking and looking and looking, but you don't get closer to any sense of confidence in what you're seeing. And what's really happening right now, what I point out in this video that got me muted, which was Planet X System Update number 4, part 3 of 3, Luciferian Agenda. And what they want to do is keep everybody in the dark and confused. Because then what will happen is the vast majority of humanity lives along coastlines.
Yes.
And much of the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming effort, is actually along the coastlines. You start getting into flyover states, you have a much greater percentage of people in awareness than you do along the coastlines. It's really impressive. And the reason why they do that is if people living along the coastlines are going, well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, or who knows, or we'll wait for the government to tell us something. In other words, they deny and procrastinate. If they keep doing that, at some point, they're not going to have the ability to move inland and relocate. And then we have the pole shift event. And the pole shift event is just going to send massive tidal waves into the shorelines. And we're going to have a lot of, during the course of the tribulation, we're going to have cataclysmic events that are going to take thousands at a time, millions at a time. But this one event, the pole shift, that's going to happen during the days of darkness. This is going to take billions of people because of one simple fact. The vast majority of humanity lives along a coastline. And so for the ruling elites, what they really are doing is, part of it is eugenics, simple eugenics. They want to reduce the number of people on the planet because it's more manageable. But there's a much more sinister reason why. As a result of the pole shift, the silver lining that I see coming in this tribulation is that all of the control mechanisms that keep us down as a slave species, and we are a slave species. Less than 1,000 people own 90% of the world. That makes us a slave species. I don't care how else you cut the cards.
Right.
And what will happen is these coming events, cataclysmic events, are going to overwhelm all of their control mechanisms. They will be shattered. Now, this is not news to the ruling elites. They have known about this and seen it coming for a very, very long time. So what is their plan? Well, the plan is you got to get the slaves back into slavery, all right? And for them, this is a real crisis. This is an existential threat. I mean, imagine if if a flock of sheep sitting in a holding pen, all right, know that if they go down the chute one at a time, they're going to be bashed, slashed, and have an incarnation in a Safeway meat case, okay? If they know that, then the sheep are going to go, I'm not going to participate in
Exactly.
this. All right. That's a problem. And so what they want to do is, after the worst of the tribulation is going to last approximately a decade. But after about the first 4 years is when it starts winding down. The other remaining 6 years or so is going to be the settling. But this last event, when we fly through the tail, and this is actually foretold in the prophecy of Mother Shipton. And for those that are familiar with it, and those that have not, you can just, search on Mother Shipton. And she says that the dragon is going to come back and crack its tail on the earth when we're all feeling pretty cocky. Well, what she's describing perfectly is we go through the pole shift, and after that, we come back around the sun in our orbit, and we fly into the tail that's behind this massive system, and we're going to get hammered. It is going to be literally 10 plagues of Exodus kind of suffering. Then they're going to know exactly when we're at the tail end of that bad last cataclysm. But most people are not, because they've been kept in the dark. And that's when they pop up and say, looky what we brung you. We have bunkers and seed vaults and medicines and, everything you're going to need to get back on your feet. We got it all for you. All you have to do is agree to our terms, which include you take the chip. And once we take the chip, we are sheep for generations to come. And that is literally what these RFID tags are all about. And so their timing is really a bluff. And if humanity is going to keep its freedom, because bear in mind, yes, we're going to be dying in vast numbers, but we're going to be dying as free men and women. I think that's important for people to understand, as truly free men and women.
But don't we basically have the chip now, except in another form called the social insurance number?
Well, the social insurance number is one chip, yeah, but this one is really nasty. And the point of it's called the mark of the beast. It's foretold. And what the RFID tag really is, it's a multi-frequency transceiver. It can broadcast and receive simultaneously on multiple frequencies. And remember what we learned in, the Matrix.
So we
generate a lot of power.
So we're talking.
We can light a 100-watt bulb. Well, 100 watts is considerable when you can think about the fact that, you see these guys that are ham buffs and they're going down the highway with these big antennas on their trucks. They're out there with 50-watt mobile radios. At home, they have 100-watt radios. And with these radios, they can go tremendous distances. So 100 watts really gets you out there. Well, human body can support that. And these RFID tags are going to be used. They'll get satellites back up after the worst of the tribulation. Things will settle down. The satellites will be sending down constant programming. And so through this RFID chip, and there's one of three ways you'll be chipped. One is through the hand. Mm-hmm. The other is a thermal tattoo, if you will. They put it on the forehead, and then it meshes into the skin and becomes colorless, so you don't see it. It's a thermal transfer. And then the third will be when infants are born, at the top of the skull where it's really soft.
Right.
They put an implant there. Those implants will never come out. The forehead implants will never come out. The ones that can be removed are on the hands. And that's something, if you got to be chipped, go there, because at least maybe somewhere down the road it can be removed. But when you have this chip, there will be continuous programming that's going to be very pleasant for the people who are chipped. It will be like electronic Prozac. You're just not going to get terribly excited about anything. Life is just going to be, I'm eating nothing but gruel. I'm good with that. That's good. We're going on. Gruel is good. But more importantly, they have determined the frequency by which we feel our connection to Creator, that cosmic connection, if you will. It has a specific frequency. And so what they will do is that they will block that frequency and then use an alternate frequency to give us what they want us to think God is.
So basically, this is mind control.
Absolute, total mind control.
But who's behind all of this? Who's behind all of this?
The 1% of the 1%, the ones that are pulling the strings, and we don't even know their names.
So why would the existing governments allow this to happen?
They're just as controlled as everything else, and the world is more about, corporations than it is about governments. Look how our government just continually concedes control to corporations. I mean, if you want to talk about, do we have an evil institution, that would be the United States Supreme Court. I mean, they go about their normal daily business of yada, 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 but when it comes down to something that the ruling elites really want, our Supreme Court pays off like a stuck slot machine. So if they want to force GMO on us, they can. The court says, yeah, you can do something a God can do. You can own life. You can create life. All right. And then look what our Supreme Court does. Well, to protect your right of being gods that own life and create life, we're going to give you the power to protect yourself from any political process by simply inundating it with as much money and control as you need to suppress any alternate voices. So, you go through and you look at corporations were an invention of the United States Supreme Court. And, they continually overturn things that have long-standing been the rule of law in the country.
But aren't there corporations in other countries around the world? For example, Canada has corporations.
There are corporations, but America created the global corporations that we have today. We're the ones that really created these monsters. And corporations have been around for a very long time, but corporations used to have a very fixed purpose. And if you were going to have a corporation, then it had to be for something like building a bridge. It was very restrictive.
All right, stand by. You and I have to take our break here. We'll be right back. X-Zone Nation. My guest this hour, Marshall Masters. His website, www.yowusa.com. And we'll be back after this break with the news right here in the X-Zone. Don't go away.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Nemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created Nemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Exonation Marshall Masters is our guest this hour, www.yowusa.com. So we're basically talking about mind control on a global basis.
Absolute total mind control. Now, here's the big gotcha.
Okay.
All right. This is what they're going to do. They're going to trick everybody into doing this. But here's simple math. So you've got all these seed vaults, you got all these bunkers, you got all this stuff that you've been cashing aside with and using other people's money to finance it. And you come up now, if you offer all of this to say 6 or 7 billion people, it's a blip. All right. It's like, take the chip and we'll give you maybe a day or 2 days of relief. Who's going to do that? Nonsense. But if you have reduced the population by 90%, now all of a sudden your inducements into slavery are really significant. Now you're talking to getting enough of the right kind of people where you can make a real difference. They can look at that and they can go, if we take this bad deal, yeah, this is going to make a difference. And if people perceive that they don't have any other deal on the table, then a bad deal is better than no deal. All right? And that's what they're setting them up for, is the perception that there's no other deal. Now, everything I do and everything I'm about, and the reason why I founded Knowledge Mountain Church of Perpetual Genesis was for the benefit of people and awareness. And we're tiny, small fraction of people. Folks in awareness usually have seen all of this coming since they were children, and this is because, for the most part, they made their agreement with God to be in awareness before they were ever born. And so when people try and dissuade them from this, and they say, stop being someone who marches to the beat of a different drummer, it's like water in a stream trying to push a boulder aside. No, it's just going to pass around. There are going to be boulders in the stream, but they seem alone. And the thing that's important about these folks is that what the elites are going to do when they come up with all these inducements, and what people need to understand, is that this is a bluff. You see, the world after the tribulation is not their destiny. It's not theirs to own and control. This world, they own it and control it. There's no point in thinking otherwise, and thinking you can change it. They got it. Lock, stock, and barrel. But it's like a chapter in a book, and all chapters in a book, like all books, come to an end. Yes. And that's what they see. And the next chapter is not theirs. So they have to bluff. So if enough people call the bluff when they come up with their inducements and just say no, understanding they're not saying no to the carrot. They're saying no to the stick, because that's the way the elites run things. If you don't take the deal, we'll beat you hard. Okay? But if enough people have three things, that being self-sufficiency, hope for the future, and knowing that they are not alone, if they have those three things, then we have a natural instinct to be free within us. It's an engram built right into every human being. And if we have those three things, self-sufficiency, knowledge, hope for the future, and knowing we're not alone, we'll say no to the stick.
All right, but if we know all this beforehand, like you're sharing with us, why can't we take action now to prevent even from being offered the stick, offered the carrot, and taking the power away from these people before they even have a chance to really use it?
Because this is their reality. They own it, lock, stock, and barrel. We are sharecroppers, and that's about the best we're going to get.
How do we know that?
All right. Well, this was an interesting thing that I was doing after I finished my book, Planet X Forecast. I began working with psychics. And we took a scientific approach to it. We were a 3-person team. One was developing science questions. Another one was giving me cross-examine questions like a lawyer would use in a courtroom.
Right.
And then I was the one conducting the interview through a channel to an entity. And, there was a point where, I have to be honest, I was really coming to realize they had this all sewn up. And I was very depressed about it. And so this one gal, and she was the most talented of all. I found it was middle-aged women with families and husbands that were supportive of their work were the most effective. And she was really amazing. And she could call in any number of entities. And so I talked with her, and she said, well, let's see who we can bring in. And next thing I know, I'm having a conversation with Serapis Bey, who was, you could actually find Serapis Bey on the internet, interestingly enough. He was in ancient Egypt. He was a temple priest. Now, Serapis Bey, his thing is this very issue. And so I explained, what my feelings were. I'm talking with this guide. And he said, Marshall, the Book of Humanity is a large book, and it is far from finished. And it is a book of many chapters. This chapter belongs to the elites. And there's no point in lamenting over that. They own it. They control it. You cannot take it away from them. But they understand that this chapter, like all books, will come to an end, and that the next chapter is not theirs. The next chapter is yours. In other words, your species, that you will have ascension and enlightenment, and they cannot use you to serve them anymore. And so all they can do is bluff you into giving up what is rightfully yours. It is the quintessential birthright for a bowl of lentils. And so if we call the bluff, we prevail. We're going to have that Star Trek future. And those guys are going to wind up going, they're going to become part of the fossil record. We're going to leave them behind. And it doesn't mean that we need a majority of humanity to do this. The American Revolution was fought by 30% of the colonists. The other 70% sat on the sidelines or helped the British. And what does this prove? You don't need a majority. What you need is a critical mass, or a 100th monkey, if you will. And if you have enough people that are willing to step up and to say no, understanding they're not saying no to the carrot, they are saying no to the stick, and that stick will be used. But if enough of them do it, then this bluff that's being so carefully orchestrated by the elites to further their ungodly control over the species into the next age is gone. It's toast. But if they can suppress those in awareness, if they can make people feel disconnected from each other, if they can make people feel hopeless, they win. Look what's happening to American society now. We have this new term, snowflake children. And it's really talking about the millennials and the I generation, and that these are children who are so fragile. They had somebody was in a university here in the United States was writing something on the sidewalk. And they actually had to set up a therapy counseling center for people who were just simply distraught by seeing scribblings on concrete. How about a bucket of bleach? All right?
Exactly.
But we have that. And look at the victimization that we have. Victimization is so powerful in America. And what does it do? It separates us from one another. Everything that is happening on a cultural and social level is to separate us. If the current generation of kids had to go to war like World War II, we'd all be singing,
Edelweiss.
We'd all be singing the Nazi anthem.
Right.
All right? We would have lost. Well, they're setting us up for all of this.
Are they setting us up, or are we setting ourselves up by being so lazy with all the modern technology that we have that we actually think we're invincible?
Well, we're being set up, but yeah, it does. You go through an airport these days. I remember one time I was, catching a flight through Las Vegas, and I'm in this passenger area, and I looked around. Every seat was packed. And people are milling around, but it was so quiet. I could hear the people back in the food court calling the orders to the kitchen.
Wow.
I could hear them buffing the floor. I could hear the air coming out of the air conditioning system because everybody's looking down at their electronics and completely, utterly oblivious. And yeah, you look at something like that and you go, God help us. God help us. But on the other hand, the satellites will come down, the internet will collapse when things are there, and then all these slavetronics are going to cease to work. And after that, people are going to have about a 3 to 5 day, internet withdrawal symptom. And then they're going to go, what do we do next? And at that point, it's the ancient law of evolution. If you're not resourceful, you die. And you're going to have those who are going to be resourceful and those that are not. And there will be a lot of hopelessness and a lot of people, giving up. They can't bear what's happening. But it's going to affect us in the first world countries much more than it will third world countries. People living in Africa and other places where they spend a good portion of their day just trying to find clean water and firewood. All right. Life's already brutal and hard.
Yeah, they're not spoiled.
They're not spoiled. And so for them, the coming tribulation is just going to be another flavor of bad.
Yeah.
For us, it'll be, I'm melting. I'm a snowflake. I'm melting. But, people will come around and, when the tough get going, the going get tough. And whereas, there's an old saying from World War II, and I love it. Winners never quit and quitters never win. People are going to have to decide, am I a quitter or am I a winner? And we're not going to know that until we cross that bridge. But the ones that make it to the backside of the tribulation, and the backside, as I call it, that's when we're going to see blue skies and taste sweet waters once again. And that is surely going to happen.
All right, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our final break. Exo Nation, Marshall Masters is our guest. His website, www.yowusa.com. I'll be back on the other side as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Marshall, would you say that the mainstream media is part of this plan?
Well, where is the mainstream media? All I see is corporate media. The mainstream media, I remember that at one time. I was with CNN in the 80s. But what happened was when the Republicans were in power, they reversed a long-standing policy of the Federal Communications Commission, sharply limiting the number of media outlets a corporation could own. And that started the consolidation. So you look at what we have now, to the far left, you have MSNBC. To the far right, you have Fox. And like the filling in an Oreo cookie, you have CNN in the middle catching the rest of it. So there's market segmentation. They don't do, gum sole work. They don't do investigative reporting. When I was with CNN, they did, and it was brilliant. It was truly an honor to be involved with that organization. But now I agree with Larry King. They ought to change their name to the Cartoon News Network. So the media has been corrupted. All of this stuff has been corrupted. I see all the things that the elites are doing, and I don't bother getting upset about it because I'm seeing the long game. And in terms of the long game, again, it's simple. These are the 3 founding precepts of the church, my church, Knowledge Mountain Church of Perpetual Genesis. Self-sufficiency, knowledge, hope for the future, knowing you're not alone. I don't care what you got in your bunker. You got those 3 things, you're going to be tough. And you're going to know to say no because you understand what you're fighting for. And what you're really good. The reason why people are going to say no to the chip is they're going to understand. They're going to. It's not about what they're going to give you; it's what they're going to take away. And that is your personal relationship with God. And there's nothing worth that. Nothing.
But is it possible? But is it possible, as a society, we have grown past the need to worship a deity, that we should take responsibility of our own actions and, say, listen, we're not sheep anymore. We don't need a shepherd.
Well, I see it as when God doesn't give us the gift of life. That's something we give our progeny. When Dad looks at Mom and says, I'm going to get me some of that, there you go. That's the gift of life. All right?
Okay.
God gives us is free will. That's God's gift, free will. And the point of free will is that we learn to use it wisely. Because free will is very powerful. It is the energizing force of intention. And it is through intention that universes, each with their own physical laws, come into being. Because we live in a multi-dimensional multiverse. And so our lives here are to learn free will. And we're going to make, like babies taking their first steps. We're going to make good steps. We're going to make bad steps. There's going to time we're going to make a lot of distance. Other times we'll fall on our keisters. So what God is giving us is this opportunity to make choices so that we can become better at advancing ourselves on a path of ascension by learning to make more wise choices than unwise choices.
But if we have free will, isn't it up to us to make the decision whether we want to turn right or we want to turn left?
And that's absolutely the point. That is absolutely the point. We have free will. But, Rob, if you've been chipped, you will not have free will. You will have what you think is free will, but not when you're on electronic Prozac. You're going to do what you're told to do. You're going to think what you're told to think. You're going to feel what you're told to feel. And God is no longer going to be this loving part of your life that is so special.
So why doesn't God
They're going to change that? So they're going to become God.
So why doesn't God intervene?
Well, God does intervene, but, God also helps those who helps themselves. Again, it's coming back. What's this whole Planet X tribulation about? It's not about a tribulation. It's about choice. It's about what we choose to do, what we choose to make of it. And, if you take a look at the Hopi Prophecy Rock, and the Hopi Prophecy Rock, it's real simple. If we continue following the line that we're on right now, not very good. Doesn't work out. But if we say enough of this, and we branch off in another direction, all of a sudden we have a long and fabulous existence. And so humanity is at that point. Remember I told you about the gal that was able to connect me with Serapis Bey.
Yes.
She was also able to connect us with races. We have something very, very special with us. All right? We have the ability to communicate telepathically, not just within our solar system. We're able to communicate across the galaxy. Not all races can do that. especially the ones that are evil. And we did communicate with these races through her. And it didn't matter where they were. It was always the same thing. This is it. This is your fork in the road. Choose wisely. We didn't. And we went through a lot of unnecessary suffering as a result of a poor choice. Don't make that mistake. All right. And I remember this one time, and I asked this entity on the other side of the galaxy, and I said, excuse me, but what's in it for you? Mm-hmm. Why do you care? We're separated. You're on one arm of the galaxy. We're way over here on the other. Our chances of ever seeing each other are somewhere between zip and nil. Why do you care? Why do you take the time? And here was the answer. The answer was, there are only 2 billion native souls to Earth. Only 2 billion. The other 5 billion come from elsewhere. We're interested because you have our ancestors. This by divine plan is our breakout. The reason why we have 7.5 billion, the reason why there's going to be so much loss of life, but statistical push. More numbers than the elites can conveniently manage and control. And once they lose control, all of their best laid plans come apart like a house of cards.
When do you foresee this all starting? Has it already started, or what should some of the warning signs be that what we're talking about tonight here on the X-Zone is actually happening?
Well, we're already seeing the warning signs, and all of this is when you hear them on CNN and the other fake news channels, and they're going, it's just an interesting celestial light show. Don't worry about it. That's when you know you have your last window of opportunity to do something. And 80 to 90% of the people are just going to say, well, I'm going to believe them because that's what I want to believe. That is just going to be an interesting light show. As to what date, there's a lot of people. Ed Dames is saying November of this year. All right, Bob Dean said this year. We definitely are seeing signs. There are a lot of observation reports now on YouTube, more than I could ever imagine.
Excuse me, no disrespect, but there's a lot of crap on YouTube as well. So how do we know what is real and what is fake YouTube?
I see the carpetbaggers too. And they're carpetbaggers there because their job is to keep everybody muddled. But if you know it's coming, you know it's coming. You ask me when? I'm going to tell you my Amtrak theory. Okay? It's like an Amtrak train. You don't know exactly when it's going to get here, but you know it eventually will. So why not prepare for it? Why not be aware? Why not see what's happening? Mm-hmm. People that are going, well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, they don't understand that when the guacamole hits the fan, they're going to be in one or two places. They're going to be alive on one side of the bridge or dead on the other. So, for folks that are saying, date, mm-hmm. No, because there are plenty of people who are giving dates. I'm saying read the signs. I'm looking at the signs. I'm looking at Earth Trek because, what's happening with what's happening to our planet. If you go to my website, you'll have a menu link up there for signs. We've been publishing articles that actually prove that December 21, 2012 did in fact occur according to prophecy as a harbinger, not as the event. That since December 21, 2012, the number of fireballs and earthquakes of all magnitude have gone completely ballistic. And so the signs are there. The trends are there. You look at all of a sudden now, NASA's gone from saying Planet X is the result of Nancy Leader and her woo-woo nonsense with aliens.
To?
Okay. Yeah.
We've got about 20 seconds. I hate to do this to you, my friend, but we've got to stay so long. We'll get you back on. We'll finish this. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about Marshall Masters, visit his website at YOWUSA.com. And I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.